If you're the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, you know having a trusted partner makes all the difference. That's why, hands down, you count on Grainger for auto reordering. With on-time restocks, your team will have the cut-resistant gloves they need at the start of their shift. And you can end your day knowing they've got safety well in hand. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is episode 431 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abuel-Samad from Telemetry, coming to you today from Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, can you see the one tree no matter where you are?
Yeah, it's right out there. In fact, it's literally right outside my window.
Yeah, but it's really 400 miles away because Nebraska is so incredibly flat.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Roberto Baldwin from SAE International and the SAE Automotive Engineering Podcast.
And I know I promised you that Nicole would be back today, and she will be, because we're going to keep recording until she finally joins us. But she had a little plumbing emergency in her kitchen, and there's a plumber currently underneath her kitchen sink trying to snake out the drain because she was away for so long that something climbed in there and died, apparently. So the snake is kind of noisy. So she will be joining us in progress, hopefully very soon.
Yeah, if you ever had a plumber come out and plumb your stuff with a snake, especially like, because it's twisting and turning, it's working its way down, looking for the offender. Hopefully, it's not
I had to do
roots.
that a couple months ago, a few months, probably 3 or 4 months ago. I think we had to do that again.
Yeah,
I have a snake that goes out about 25 feet, and I ran that all the way through to the end. And unfortunately, it was about 30 feet out, so the blockage. So I had to pay a plumber to do that.
I have we knock on wood. I own a snake. I have not had to use it in our house, so it just sits in the garage. It's probably all rusty. I should probably snake it out.
Do you have like a professional one, or like just one that you buy from Lowe's or Home Depot?
It's like the Home Depot or Lowe's, but it's in the big giant circle. So you blank it out and stuff. It's not like the little like a little small thing. It'll go out forever. I don't remember which house I bought it, which apartment I bought it for, but I definitely did not need to use the entire snake to fix the problem.
And now with our plumbing corner concluded for the moment,
welcome to the Wheel Bearings
talk some cars.
Plumbing corner. Let's go ahead.
Well, I mean,
first caller, what's your problem?
Cars do have plumbing. I mean, you got hydraulic lines for your brakes, at least for now.
They're a series of tubes, to be honest.
Yeah, it's literally a series of tubes. Yes,
literally a series of tubes.
Yeah, and your cooling systems and things like that. So there's actually a surprising amount of plumbing in a vehicle.
So much plumbing, so many tubes.
Yeah. So what did you drive?
I went to Austria and Germany, and I drove the 2027 Mercedes-Benz CLA hybrid. Now, you probably heard about the CLA electric vehicle. That's the one that's gotten all the hype. That's both vehicles. They're the same. If you look at the vehicle outside of like the grille and the rear diffuser, because obviously EV doesn't need exhaust, they look exactly the same. You get inside, they look exactly the same. There's for the average person, you're not going to notice the difference between these two vehicles. That said, I drove the hybrid. I also drove the EV, but I can't talk about that right now. I drove the hybrid. Next week, I drove the EV. The EV embargo is later on. The hybrid embargo's already passed. So that's why we're talking about hybrids right now. So what's interesting is that they're using a brand new motor for this, the FAME. And of course, I forgot what FAME stands for. Give me 2 seconds. Forget it. It doesn't matter.
I'll look it up.
Thank you. It is a new, it's a new, I think, ish. It's a 1.5 liter inline 4 turbocharged engine. But it has because it's a hybrid, it has the electric motor inside the transmission, which is really nice.
So FAME is very, very creative. It's short for Family of Modular Engines.
There you go. FAME. It's a family of modular engines. I apologize to David Bowie for that. Yeah, so it's a 1.5 liter. It's got a turbo. It's got an EV. Should be perfect. It is really comfortable cruising. It's the car is surprisingly nimble. They did some really good work on the chassis. They had us driving up a snowy road in Austria, and then when we got to the top, we could see Italy, which is a thing you can do when you're in the Alps. All that, the infotainment system with the new MB.OS, it's essentially just an updated version of their zero layer. They're still using zero layer, which I'm like, okay, thank God.
Yeah,
because you don't want something that you've seen and used to like go away because they've changed the operating system in some way. They've rewritten it. They essentially just rewrote the operating system for their software-defined vehicle, but they didn't change like how it looks and how it works for zero layer, which is great. It has the dash cluster, works fine. It has some buttons, fine. It's missing their some HVAC buttons, or HVAC, climate control. Sorry, we're talking about houses.
Well, I mean, they do use the term HVAC, in the auto industry too.
They do. And all this sounds great. It does have the passenger screen. What I can say about the passenger screen is that it is huge in China and in Asia and other markets, so everyone gets it. That's it. I've talked to him about it. I've never had anyone get into the car in the United States and say, "Ooh, passenger screen," longer than 5 minutes. Everyone gets in.
The only time when we've actually had the passenger screen used in a vehicle for any extended period of time was last year when my wife and I were vacationing in California, and we had the EQS SUV, and it had the whole hyperscreen thing with the passenger screen, and she was using the passenger screen to manipulate the music that we were listening to and the navigation. So she actually did. That was the one time on that trip that week that, and all the times I've had a vehicle with a passenger screen that it actually got used.
Yeah,
so she actually did find it useful.
What it did is it stopped her from having to turn 10 degrees and reach a little further.
Well, yeah.
The thing is with Mercedes is that screen is just flat across the front. If that center screen was like more driver centric, if it was turned towards you, I can understand with the passenger screen. But it's the debate. We've lost the debate because there's a huge market that really wants that, and for that we all get the passenger screen. I played Angry Birds on it. I watched some YouTube videos on it just because, but I kind of got bored very, very quickly. Mostly because I was doing my job. That's it. All the sort of nice things about it said. Somehow, now this car doesn't come out until next year, the end of next year. So this is a very long lead drive program. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they fix this. That vehicle is a pain to get off the line. You push your foot down on the accelerator and there is a gap. It's like it's turbo lag. The turbo has an electronic to help spin it up. There's an electric motor in there. It's got an inline 4. It's got this new Miller compression system, which is very efficient, but means it doesn't have a lot of low end torque. So they added the turbo, and it has the electric motors. It should fill that gap, but it really does not when you take off. And when you come out of corners, you stomp on that gas and you're like, wait for it, go. It is very. If you have any inclination of any sort of spirited driving, it's very annoying. It's
sounds like
it's like everything about
a calibration issue.
Yes, it feels like hopefully they can tweak it, they can calibrate it, they can adjust so many things about it. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, you're like, I really like this car, and then we drove an E-Class after we turned these cars in to get from, I don't know, from Germany from where were we? Vienna? Innsbruck.
Austria.
From Innsbruck to Stuttgart, we drove E-Classes, and the E-Class wasn't as comfortable as the CLA. The CLA was more comfortable.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I was
like
very
ride
surprised.
Comfort or everything?
Seat comfort, especially. Like ride comfort is pretty on par. They're both very, they're both But seat comfort, the seat in the CLA is very, very comfortable. At least the ones that I was driving, the hybrids, the European models. Again, this vehicle doesn't come out for another, I don't know, probably 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. They say until the end of 2026. It could come out in 1 year from now. It can come out 10 months from now. Whenever they can, they get it out. That said, yeah, it's very. There's all this tech in there, and it's very interesting the way they're doing the inline four engine with that sort of. So what happens is the piston's going down. They close the air intake earlier than anyone else would. So it's creating more compression, but it means it doesn't have that sort of oomph at the lower end. So they added a turbocharger, and the turbocharger does have the little electronic thing to help spin it up. So the turbocharger has a little thing to spin it up. The motor, has within the transmission, there is I'm sorry, how many? I think it's 30. Yes, 30 horsepower, 148 pound-feet of torque electric motor inside the transmission. Is an 8-speed transmission, no CVT because boo. So yes, so it's 8-speed transmission. So it has all the elements where that shouldn't happen. That's the crazy thing, is I guess the motor is very much tuned for just sort of once you're on the road cruising, but it has the elements that should fill in that gap, and it really isn't right now. And again, I really want them to sort of they just need to retune it, to be honest. And so this was in comfort and in sport mode. It does not have paddle shifters, so you can't just blah, 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 blah. Instead, the stock, how Mercedes-Benz still uses a stock to shift gears. You push it forward and back in order to shift gears. The problem is because it's your right hand, you're used to upshifting, like pulling towards you, right? As you're going up, it's the opposite. And I didn't realize I was doing it wrong. My co-driver, instead of shifting up, I kept shifting down because I pull, you push the stock forward to go to upshift, and you pull it back to downshift, and you're like, oh, that sort of makes sense, until you realize that traditionally paddle shifters, especially on the right hand side, you pull it towards you to go to shift up. It's very it's a very weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually you've got your upshift is on the right hand side, your downshift is on the left hand side paddle. And you're pulling both of them towards you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very.
Yeah. So,
I was like, oh, this seems okay. Yeah, and mostly I was using that in the snow, but it's a very weird system. Again, it's very comfortable to drive. It's great cruising. It is surprisingly did well in the snow. They didn't let the air out of anything, it was the cars we were just driving, and they're like, hey, we're driving up this snowy hill with a bunch of switchbacks, and they're like, hey, this is how you can do. They want us to do oversteer. So that was fun. That's always a good time when you get to oversteer in the Alps on a closed road. No one else is. It's a private road, and it was closed, and they plowed it so we could drive up to the top of this hill and take a picture of Italy.
So this is a 48-volt mild hybrid system?
Yes. Yeah, it's 40, but it's such a weird. It's weird that it's mild hybrid because it's 30 horsepower. So it's a hybrid. It's in the thing. So it's still
but you see
the
standards.
But
the standards of a lot of current, what we call strong hybrids or full hybrids, that is on the low side. If you I'm going to talk in a couple of minutes about the Honda Accord, and that's got a 181 horsepower motor.
Yeah. So this has the battery is a 1.3 kilowatt hour. So it's not huge, but it's bigger than some of the smaller, it's bigger than an old hybrid system from say like a Prius or something. But it's not huge. So you have to so that sort of low end, making sure you have that power in order to push it forward for that low end torque issue. There should be enough in there to do that, but it's a weird little system, and you can drive it in electric only around town for the most part, which they need to do. They need to be able to do for in Europe, But yeah, I think the MBOS operating system, I think it doesn't seem like there's a lot of weirdness. Software is super difficult. You can ask literally any automaker. So these are new vehicles. They're not even on the road yet. We'll see how it turns out. Give them a year on the road to see what's going on. But they did, when you got in those first, let's say the Cadillac, the Lyriq, when you got in the Volkswagen ID3, when you got in all these vehicles, they had way more issues than this vehicle does, and it's still a year out. So I feel like Mercedes has really done at least the work it needs to do up until this point to make this work. Hopefully within the next year, they don't mess that up. Software is very easy to mess up. It's hard to build. It's easy to mess up. They talked a little bit about artificial intelligence, which is, it has, Microsoft and Google. So if you ask the Mercedes Assistant, which has always been pretty good in relative terms compared to everything else in the market, now it'll use those as well. So if you ask it how tall is the Eiffel Tower, it'll ask, those two systems, and it'll return the best answer, which is, it doesn't mean get the correct answer. So whenever people are,
define best.
Yeah, define best. Yeah. The let's see. Oh, it has electric gliding, and you can drive an EV mode up to 60 miles an hour depending on drive. So if you're slamming on it on the gas, obviously you're gonna fire up that inline four engine, but you can cruise it, up to 60 miles an hour in EV mode, which is nice. Let's see. I think that's kind of it. There'll be more. I'll have an article over there on the old SAE about it. But yeah, so much about this car that I really like. And then there's that one. And then there's just that I want to take off from an intersection. Hold on, give me a second. It's turbo lag. It's like you're just driving around with turbo lag. And there is no sort of motor that's going to fill that gap. Because turbo lag, you're you still have the motor there, then the turbo kicks in. Now it feels like there's nothing catching at when you first take off, or when you're accelerating out of a corner. I think for most people, accelerating out of the corner, that's really just an enthusiast thing. Most people are just are going to cruise in and out. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, I cannot get you have to really hit it early and really give it the beans. You got to give it the beans when you're coming out of the corner, especially if you're trying to oversteer, and get that back end swinging out in the snow. But yeah, then when we got in those E-Classes, and you hit the accelerator, and boom, the car just takes off, and you're just like, okay, well, yeah. So hopefully they can retune it, but between now and then, I don't see why they wouldn't.
There's always the electric version.
There's always the electric version, which again I drove, and I can't say anything about it other than I drove it. Not for, I guess, until next week or the week after. I don't know, but I can talk about it later. Yeah, so that's the Mercedes CLA hybrid. Again, it's on the MMA, the mixed martial arts architecture. No, it's the Mercedes modular architecture. They're essentially doing what BMW's been doing, where you can build either a gas or electric version of the exact same car on the exact same line. So that's it's a smart thing. I remember when BMW was doing it, it took them forever to get it going. And at one point, I think most of us were just like, well, are they ever going to do this? They just keep talking about it. And then the i4 came out, and you're like, oh, this is nice.
When BMW launched the i4, and then the i5 and the i7, with those flexible architectures, the downside of a flexible architecture like that is you're not necessarily optimizing the package to take advantage of the benefits of an EV. Mm-hmm. So like on the BMWs, they still have the transmission tunnel in there because it's the same floor pan, whether you get the gas or the electric version. So, if you're in the back seat, there's a pretty substantial, or drive shaft tunnel, down the middle. And, that's kind of wasteful. On the CLA, what's that like? I mean, obviously the CLA is more front wheel drive, transverse front wheel drive architecture, which the most of those BMWs are not. What's the back seat like in the CLA?
It's tight. I mean, I can talk about it. Yeah, I sat in the GLB as well. I saw the new GLB. Lots of room in the GLB, whether gas or electric. The CLA is tight just because it's a small car. You know, it's one of the
But is
weird
there
things.
much of a hump in the back?
Gosh, I have to look. I can't remember. Like I had, you know, up in the mountains, half asleep.
Yeah.
It was a long program. I think
we don't usually bother getting in the back seat anyway. You know,
it ends up being.
driving these
I
things.
try to get into the back seat as much as possible, but it ends up being one of those things where you're just like, I got to do this, so I got to do this. Oh wait, now we're taking us off to this. Now we're doing this. Now we're going here. Now we're going there. And it was a long program. It was from Monday to Saturday. So you know, on those programs, you were just so dead tired by the end. And sort of loopy, to be honest. Let's see. I don't see any photos of the back seat in my stuff. I'm sure there's probably something.
Yeah.
That'll just remind me to look it up in the future. I know that the packaging in the front of the electric version, there is a frunk. So there's something. Like a proper front. Hey, Nicole's here.
Who's that?
Hey, can you hear me okay? Hey, it's me. I'm still alive. How you guys doing?
we weren't sure.
It's been a morning. In fact, the plumber is still in my house trying to fix things. I'm like, dude, just knock on the door. And I'll it's been a morning. Hello, everyone.
Well,
How are you after
we already
weeks?
did the plumbing segment.
You
so
did the plumbing segment? Okay.
We talked about our own experiences snaking out our pipes.
Well, my experience snaking out the pipes is that the lovely gentlemen have come to do this morning on a Saturday morning, and most plumbers don't do this, so I'm very grateful for the plumbers I found.
Well, no, plumbers are usually happy to do it on a Saturday morning. They just charge you 3 times as much.
I couldn't even get that. First of all, these guys had a
Really?
really great rate, and secondly, I could not find people like, no, I'm sorry, I can't come out till Monday. I'm like, I have no kitchen sink. I can't, which also means I can't run the dishwasher because they go together. Anyway, it's not the plumbing show, it's the auto show.
Yeah.
But how are you doing, guys?
I went to Austria and drove the CLA hybrid.
Oh, how was that?
We're finishing that up. It was a quick TLDR. Everything I like everything about it except the fact that its acceleration is not there. There is it's essentially like turbo lag when you stomp on the gas. The accelerator, but I think it's something they can fix between now and when the car comes out.
Okay.
The end of next year. It's so long from now.
The end of next year. That is what you call a very, 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 very long
lead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did notice looking at the pictures of the interior, though, it's got vents that you can reach out and grab and move.
Oh yeah, it's got just proper human vents you can use your hands with. That's a whole. I almost said something. I was like, you know what? They were just like, what? What are you talking about? I feel like.
I had a conversation with people who are not car people about things that we don't like in cars, and I told them that that's a thing now, that you can have vents that you can't move, and they're like, you're making that up. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, they literally didn't believe me. They're like, wait, what kind of car did, like, weird car? I'm like, no, regular, like, mass market cars do that. So yeah, it was kind of funny that was, and they're like, oh no, I wouldn't buy that car either. I'm like, you wouldn't? No, because that sounds like a stupid idea. You're correct.
It is not a smart idea.
We need to get those people to talk to Mr. RJ Scaringe.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're putting AI in cars. I'm like, I don't care. How about putting some vent controls in the cars? How about
just air vents you can use?
You know what? You need to find all those people that have put down all their deposits on an R2 or an R3X and make sure that they understand before they actually, before those vehicles get delivered.
Pull the trigger.
You will have to go into the stupid touchscreen to adjust the vents.
Ugh, that would drive me crazy.
And no AI is going to fix that for you.
Yeah.
If you're the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, you know having a trusted partner makes all the difference. That's why, hands down, you count on Grainger for auto reordering. With on-time restocks, your team will have the cut-resistant gloves they need at the start of their shift. And you can end your day knowing they've got safety well in hand. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media.
So I had one thing when I was on my vacation. I drove a Mercedes E-Class diesel wagon in Germany. Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm like, the things we can't have. But the one thing that...
Was it
the journalist special?
It was.
I know, it wasn't true. That is a journalist special.
I was like, oh, they're like, what? Do you like this car, Nicole? The people were with. I'm like, yeah, this will do. Super fun. But the stuff that turned on to tell you the speed limit, that you were like right at the edge of the speed limit, like if you went from 30 to 31 and binked, you had to turn it off every single time you got in the car. That is the law in Europe.
I
know. I've decided I hate that. That's right up there. I knew it was the law. They're like, why is this way? I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is European law, guys. So sorry, I just got to turn this off every time. And first I was saying, hey, Mercedes, and getting it to turn it off. And then it wouldn't always hear me. So then I finally found the button to turn it off. And then my passengers in the back took great joy. Like, no, don't turn it off. And they're screaming, hey, Mercedes, from the back of the car, and turn it off every time we got in. Like, if this is amusing you guys.
Game.
Yeah, it became a fun game every time we hopped in the car. So
in Austria, apparently they're very strict about speeding.
Yeah.
So when we were driving through Austria, we were like, just leave it on.
Well,
I was with Scott Evans from Motor Trend.
Yeah.
And we were like, he's like, oh, we should turn. I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. Let's just wait till when we get in Germany, we can turn it off.
Well, and it was also, sometimes it was off. Like I would see a speed limit sign in front of me that would say 70 and it's blinking at 30. Like if it's mistimed or whatever, I'm like, hello, I am not speeding. I am not even at the speed limit yet. Stop hassling me. So, so that's why I kept turning it. Russ left it on when he was driving because like, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm like, well, I'm not worried about getting in trouble. I'm worried about like road rage at the car because I have to listen to this beep all the time.
It's the new European automotive equivalent of cookie banners.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
Well,
that was the
anything
CLA.
else on the CLA?
Nah.
Okay.
You can read it. The rest of it on SAE something.
Nicole, give us an update. What's been going on?
What's been going on? Well, I was on vacation for a while, as you've heard, driving around Germany, driving on the Autobahn super, super fast because it's legal and it was so much fun. I had to slow down a little bit because my passengers, there's a couple and the guy was like, yeehaw, and the woman's like, stop. So I had to slow down a little bit. Not so much on the Autobahn, but even just like taking turns, like, those windy roads they have in Germany. Were
they in the back seat?
They were in the back seat.
Oh, she might be also be getting sick.
No, it wasn't a car sick thing. It was like the minute the car went faster than...
Oh, she's used to.
She was like, woo! Or if I like floored it, I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. I better slow that sucker down a little bit.
It's always, if you're driving a car and someone else in the car is not comfortable, just slow down.
Exactly. You don't just keep driving fast to be a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be that person.
So I still had a good time, though. It was still really fun. So that was my vacation. And then also whilst I was on vacation, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. When I got back, they gave me an Acura Integra to drive this week. And it is the A-Spec. I like the Integra. I like it a lot. You know what? I forgot how much fun a manual transmission is. Like, you don't get them very often. You just don't. And I've driven one forever, and I know how to drive one. And Russ once had an Acura Integra back, second gen, and it was a manual.
Nice.
I like that car, and I forgot when I got in it. It was actually, I really forgot it was manual for a second. I may have been a little jet lagged. I'm like, why won't the car start? I'm like, wait, are there numbers on that? I'm like, oh, wait, I got to put the other foot in. Like, I didn't even catch it. I'm like, what is wrong with this thing? So I have that this week, which has been super fun to drive. I've only driven it for a couple of days because I got back a little bit late. But it's just a fun, sporty little car. It's not. Some people complain about the Integra because they were like, oh, the Integra, it has to be this. I'm like, it was never a Porsche for crying out loud.
People have weird they have enhanced memories of the past when it comes to cars.
Of the Integra, which was like sporty but not a sports car, and the Prelude, which was sporty-ish but not a sports car.
Exactly.
And
I was just going to say the Prelude's the same thing.
Why isn't this a Toyota Supra? Because it never was the Toyota Supra.
They're all upset about it. And I'm like, do you actually remember what these cars were before? No, you don't.
It was always a slightly fancier, sportier Civic. That's what the Integra was. That's what it is today.
Yep.
So I like this. It's fun. It's comfy. I had to drive around in the snow a little bit, and it was pretty good in the snow. Not a lot of snow, but like that icy, black ice, garbagey junk that you get, New England wintertime.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. And I do have a Monroney that does not appear to have any pricing on it. Like I said, I've been dealing with a plumber this morning. I should have checked this ahead of time, but it has been a morning, gentlemen. But it's, I enjoy driving this. I think it's a nice successor to the old Integra. Like if you actually owned one, which I did, you look at this and you're like, it's still fun. It's still sporty. It still has enough power. It's a joy to drive. It handles well. It looks good. So it kind of checks all the boxes. It just moves everything forward. You don't, you're like, it should have been just like it. I'm like, do you really want a car from 1992? Because I don't think you do. The things that it changed in a good way because it's 2025 and you have infotainment and you have fancier stuff and you have better safety and all these other things. But I thought it was really comfy, and Russ was in it too, and he had enough room. I don't know how much room anybody in the back seat would have, really, once you push his seat all the way back. I feel like you'd have to be really, really short.
Yeah.
Really short to sit behind Russ. But so I enjoyed driving this. But my favorite part of it was just literally having a 6-speed manual. I forgot how fun a manual transmission is I'm just like shifting gears and downshifting. And there's something that you can't replicate with paddle shifters. You just can't. Like the sort of rowing through the gears, having your feet do the work. It is not the same. I know that there's things that are more effective and faster and snappier and a dual clutch automatic. It's not about that. It's about just the fun of controlling what you're driving. And it was a joy to drive this.
Occasionally someone will be like, well, the PDK is faster. This is Porsche's automatic transmission.
Yeah. Most modern automatics
that's not what
faster.
I'm going for. Yeah, that's what I'm not going for that. I'm not going for that half second of speed. I'm going for that that entire driving experience of having a manual transmission. That's what I enjoy. If you're talking about numbers, I'm like, well, you've lost me already. Because
right?
Most cars are much faster than my BRZ, but I love driving my BRZ more than most cars, which is why I have a BRZ.
It's
the same thing with Miata. The answer is always Miata. Miata's a very slow car, but it is absolutely fantastic to drive.
It's one of those things I don't think you get if you're not really a car person. If you don't really... Like if you really see a car as an appliance, in which case you're probably not listening to the show anyway. But if you are one of those people, you don't get what we're talking about at all. Because you're just like, well, it does the job. It needs to do the job. I want it to be fast. I want it to do its thing. But if you appreciate the car for the car and the fun of driving and the engagement and the sort of connection that you can get when you are really driving a beautifully done car through a beautiful road, shifting through the gears yourself, not the same as an automatic, not the same as paddle shifters. There's a different connection. So this made me miss having a manual transmission. That's how nice this one was. Also, it's like just enough so like if you're a noob and you've never driven one, you don't feel like you're fighting to find gears. It kind of guides you right in. Yeah. And it doesn't have
Honda's manuals are great.
Right?
No, Honda, like second to none.
It's just so effortless to drive it. And even the clutch isn't really heavy. I remember having a manual Hellcat, I think it was, for some driving, got stuck in traffic, and I was like, I'm going to die. I felt like my left leg by the end of it. I'm like, my left leg is now beefier than my right leg from going in and out on that clutch so many times. It was so heavy. This
You're
one
just
is
walking
so
in
light.
circles because of it now?
Right. I'm unbalanced now. I have a back issue.
Well, you're going to have to pick a new car soon anyway if you haven't already. Now's the time to buy one.
I do have to pick a new car soon. In fact, my current car is only my car for a few more days, and it is officially not my car anymore. So it is going bye-bye. So, which I'm really happy about and really sad about because I loved that car. I have to disappear for 1 second.
Okay.
Gotta go pay the plumber.
She's so sad about the car leaving.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think that's
I looked up the Integra A-Spec with the manual transmission. So the you can get the Integra A-Spec with a CVT, or you can get it with a 6-speed manual. With the CVT, it starts at $33,400. With the manual, it's $39,200. So $6,000 more for the manual transmission.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably have CVTs lying around all over the place.
Yeah.
Manuals, that's the crazy thing. Is like back in the day, back when we were young, a manual was the option you got because it was less expensive, because automatic transmissions were more expensive. And now it's switched, because now the only people who are getting manuals are enthusiasts, which means there are fewer and fewer manuals being built, which means it doesn't have the economies of scale, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that's how we've flipped. We're in the upside down.
Yep.
For enthusiasts, again, that's the thing. And yeah, for enthusiasts. And I always want to say, if you don't drive a manual transmission, but you still enjoy your car, that's awesome. You don't have to learn if you don't want to. I'm not going to be like, ooh, you're not a real driver because you don't drive a manual.
But if you want to experience a more engaging drive experience, using the word experience too often there.
Experience.
But, if you want to have a more engaging drive experience, it's worth at least trying out. Find somebody who has a manual transmission. Get them to teach. If you don't already know how to drive a manual, get them to show you how to do it, and just try it and see what it's like.
Find an empty parking lot, drive around for a few hours. It's a little frustrating initially. But you'll get it. And then once you get it, you'll either be like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Or you might be like, I'm fine. Which, again, that's totally fine. If you have a car, paddle shifter, DCT, even a CVT, and you love driving that car, that's great. Good for you. I'm happy for you. And you should
That's what happened
don't feel
with my
judged.
kids. When my kids were learning to drive, the older one, took her out, gave her some lessons with a manual transmission. She figured, she got the hang of it pretty quickly. No problem at all. The younger one went out one time, tried it, said, okay, I'm good. Never wanted to touch a manual again. So,
like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need this. I don't need this shenanigans anymore. I'm done with this.
Okay, I'm back.
So while you were gone, I looked up the pricing on the Integra.
Oh yeah.
The Integra starts at $33,400. With the A-Spec with the CVT is $35,950.
Okay.
And with the 6-speed, which only comes with the technology package,
yes,
it's $39,200.
I would pay $39 for this. Would you?
Wait,
which color do you have?
It's that beautiful blue. It's
the double apex
blue. Oh my God, the color is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so pretty. Actually, it's so snowy and gross here right now to have this bright blue car in the driveway. I'm like, oh, look, a little bit of happiness.
I'm surprised they didn't send you one in urban gray pearl, because it always seems like that's the only color that Acura has in the press fleet anywhere. Or
I'm
drives.
lucky. I got a blue one. I'm excited about the blue one, so it's really fun. I even drove it yesterday.
It is a good color.
I had to take Russ into the airport, and we hit the world's worst traffic. And driving into Boston, because I thought, oh, this is going to be miserable. Stop and go in a manual, and it was just great. It's such a nice car to drive. I thoroughly enjoy this thing. $39,200. Would I pay $30? I think I would pay $39,200 for this, because the interior also looks good. It's an upgrade. Has two-tone seats. They have kind of a blue accents on it that sort of match that paint on the outside. So it looks really slick. When you open the door, you're like, ooh, nice car. So they didn't. It looks good. It feels good, and you get pretty decent reliability. You got a Honda product there, so you're going to have it for a while. So I feel like $39,200. I mean, you can go cheaper, but can you necessarily go better? I don't know. What do you think? Would you spend it?
It's a good car. I had one for Monterey Car Week.
Yeah.
Of the Acura lineup, I think this is the car. I think when they brought it back, I think it was a big deal. Rightfully so. I think for years, Acura was a little bit lost in who exactly they were. They came back with this. They're like, okay, this is who we are. And since then, I think they've sort of gotten lost a little bit again. But I get, Everyone wants a SUV. That's the problem. Everyone wants a crossover, and Acura was not really a crossover company, and so it has to like sort of figure out how it fits in the world of crossovers.
I wish we didn't all want crossovers.
I know. When I drove the ADX last spring, I remember saying, because the ADX is on the same platform. It's it's the Civic platform. So it's the Civic, Integra, HRV, and ADX are all on this platform, and the ADX has the same 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 200 horsepower. That's in the Integra. It only comes with the CVT. You can't get it with a manual. And the ADX just feels so utterly lifeless compared to this.
Yeah.
But the problem is the ADX weighs like 600 pounds more. So you're getting, a crossover body on there, but you're adding 600 pounds to it. And it just saps the life out of this vehicle. And it's kind of sad, really. And I remember saying at the time, it's like, really, just get the Integra, because the Integra is a hatchback, so you actually get as much utility. And it's actually, the ADX is a slightly shorter wheelbase. It's more upright, but it's shorter. So you're actually getting about the same amount of interior volume in the Integra as you get in an ADX, but it's so much more fun to drive.
And I'm sure the ADX probably outsells its Integra.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
I'm not even gonna look. I'm not going to look it up because it's just
don't
going
look.
to depress
The
me.
answer is that it sells. Yeah, that it outsells it because the Integra is a small little sporty-ish. What do we decide? Sporty-ish
Sedan.
Is that the correct word? Sporty-ish car.
Sporty-ish sedan.
Sporty-ish sedan. So it's not gonna. It's not gonna sell like the ADX is. Not even close. I would think.
I will say there was that like a few minutes where I was just like, the original Integra was a 2-door. And I'm just like, shut up, Robbie.
But there were 4-door Integras too.
Yeah, there were
4-door
Integras.
We had a 4-door.
I think most people had 2 doors back in the day, but that's a different world when people were like happy with just 2 doors.
I didn't want a 2-door because I just remembered, like my mom, weirdly, because I bought it a long time ago. My mom always hated 2-door cars because she said the doors were too heavy. Now, it's not like the Integra is exactly large, but I think this was based on like 2-door cars of the 70s where each of the doors weighed about as much as a
15 feet
mini.
long.
Yeah. And I'm like, so like when you open up one of those, you're like, oh, holy heck, I can see why. But I'm like, an Integra, I'd probably been okay with 2 doors. It's not that big.
So far this year, since January, the Integra has sold 18,462 units.
Okay.
The ADX is 17,313. But the ADX didn't really go on sale till about April. So,
so that's like a
monthly sales rate is
Yeah. Anyway, Integra, it's a niche. It's it's a fun niche car.
I really like it.
Buy the Integra. It's good.
Just buy the Integra. Do the right thing.
Manual transmission.
Buy the Integra because it's a fun little car.
Ask your friend if you can drive their whatever with a manual until you learn, and then go out and buy the Integra.
The way we convince automakers to keep building cars like the Integra is by buying them.
I know.
Stop buying these ridiculous crossovers. Buy cars.
No one's going to listen to you. You realize that, right?
No
Sam? One's listening.
I know.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're listening to each other.
I know.
I was talking to folks the other day.
Of course,
I'm like,
we also buy manual diesel to station wagons.
Right.
So
I was all excited about that.
So
that tells you.
If there's a car that all the automotive journalists absolutely love, it's going to have horrible sales. That is sort of the rule. No, everyone's like, this is so great. We love this car. And the general public's like, no.
Because we don't buy based on, or we don't love them based on practical. I mean, I can love a car because it's a practical SUV and it can tow because it's a truck and it can do all these things. But like to drive one, we love the ones that are just really joyful to drive. That doesn't make them logical at all. That's the problem.
Well, no, actually, I would disagree with that. When it comes to station wagons, especially, we had a couple of Volkswagen VW wagons, and the beauty of a wagon is it is basically a car with a longer roof.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really sacrificing anything from having the sedan version.
Yeah,
you're getting some extra cargo space in the back, and so it has all the joy of driving the car, the sedan or coupe version, but just in a more practical shape without all that extra mass that you're hauling around for something you're calling a utility vehicle.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, this is why, we had a 2000 Passat wagon, and, my wife loved driving that car. She did not want a crossover. She did not want a minivan. She loved that car. And when we replaced that, we replaced it with a Jetta TDI wagon. And she loved driving that car right up until September 2015.
Whoops.
Yeah. And then Dieselgate happened.
And driving the wagon, that was the thing. I switched from, originally we'd asked for a small SUV just because you're thinking 4 people in their luggage when we were on vacation, and they offered me the wagon instead. And I'm like, I'm going to try the wagon. It was so much easier than having an SUV. It was easier to get around the streets.
Yeah.
It was easier to get around the cities, to put in parking spaces.
It's easier to put things in.
It held all of our luggage. And when we had that, barely under the airline weight limit luggage that we were bringing back stuff from being there for 2 weeks, it was so easy to load it in. Like, it was like you were lifting up. It's nice and low. So loading cargo is easier. It made me fall in love with wagons in a way that I'm sad that we don't have more. Like, I always thought, yeah, we should have more. Now I'm sort of bitter about it right now because I'm still loving that experience. A little bit bitter.
I mean, there's a lot of reason. People buy SUVs because we were essentially sold the SUV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a propaganda thing. It's a long story. I've talked about it a million times.
Yeah.
There's no point in going into it again.
I know.
But yeah, we were essentially told you should buy this via propaganda because there's a higher profit margin at the end.
I know all the reasons, Robbie. I don't have to like it. I don't have to like it.
I know. I don't have to like it either. That's why I'm driving around in a 2-door BRZ and a 4-door really big hatchback called the Ioniq 5.
I have to decide what my next car is going to be now, guys. I have a big opportunity, right?
Oh, you should get the XRT.
Well, I can get anything, right? Well, not anything. I'm probably not buying a Rolls Royce, but yeah, I got to decide. I got to decide what I'm going to do.
Well, after the title for our replacement EV6 finally arrived, after it was sitting in a FedEx warehouse in Memphis for a month.
Of course.
We went to the Secretary of State's office on Monday to get the title transfer and get a Michigan title for it. And, on the registration, it says Kia EV6. It says station wagon.
Does
it's not
it
listed
really?
as an SUV. It says on the Michigan registration certificate, it says station wagon. So,
Because
Oh
that's
my
what
gosh,
it is, really.
you bought a station wagon. Yeah.
yeah.
I want them to bring back the wood paneling. I know it's tacky as heck, but I just
Hey,
miss.
Add it.
You know
There's
what?
nothing to
You
stop
want-
you from putting
You
wood
want
paneling.
wood paneling? There's plenty of shops that'll do a wrap for you. You can
Exactly.
get a wood panel. Because I mean that's for the last 30-ish years that they sold woody wagons in this country. That's all it was anyway. It was just a vinyl applique.
Right.
So just take it to a wrap shop and get a wood panel wrap on there on the
That's
doors
right.
and the fenders.
or magnets, and then you can take it off and put it on whenever you want. Like
there you go.
Like you're a real estate
Depends on
agent.
your mood.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could do that. That would work.
There you
But
go.
I have to decide what I'm going to put it on first. I don't know what I'm going to buy instead. This is it. It's all done. What was it? The 16th is my appointment to have everything said and done on ye old Wagoneer S that I'm very sad to give up, but I'm very happy to give up. And I just have to find out what I'm going to do instead, guys. I don't know.
Kia EV6.
Everyone who's listening, I want you to email us and tell us what and why Nicole should get.
Oh gosh,
There you
what
go.
and
Yes,
why?
yes. Definitely provide the why.
Why you think
Yeah.
I should get the car I should get?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Also,
feedback
you
at
can
wheelbearings.media.
feedback at willbearings.me. Tell us what and why Nicole should get. You can also do this in our Discord. You can throw it in there.
Yeah,
if you
that'll
don't
be
feel like
interesting to
using
see if
email.
anybody sends anything in and what
I
they
want to
say.
see what people want Nicole to drive.
What are they going to recommend for me? I wonder if it's going to be ridiculous or they're going to go, I think she'd like this because. And
They're
give
going
a
to tell you the
logical
Ford
reason.
Escape. They're just going to
The
break your heart.
Escape. They're going to tell me Miata because it's the answer to everything. But I'm like, yeah, not if
Miata
you
is
live in
the
New England
answer.
most of the year.
Yeah, but Russ is tall, so BRZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Russ can hardly fit in a Miata. Like when one ends up in the driveway, he's like, oh.
All right. Anything else that on the your adventures with the Integra or the E-Class wagon?
No,
Okay.
no more on the adventures with the Integra or the E-Class wagon. That's about it.
All right. Well, I have had this past week a 2025 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. Actually, I also had a base Honda Accord with the gas engine because they were supposed to deliver the hybrid on Monday, and for reasons, a gas version showed up in my driveway. And, I needed to write a review on the hybrid, and so I pinged back Drive Shop and said, "Hey, I thought I was supposed to get a hybrid here." And said, "Oh shoot, we'll get you one tomorrow." So that one did show up the next day. The base one had the same 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder that was in your Integra, but the Accord, of course, is a little bit larger and heavier, and it had a CVT, and so it was not quite as lively. The Accord Touring Hybrid, on the other hand, very, very nice car. I really like that. I really like the Honda hybrid system. I talked a bunch about it when I talked about the Prelude a month or so ago. But the Accord, in the Accord, it works really well as well. So this is a hybrid system that is really biased towards the electric side. Most of the time, it basically acts as a series hybrid. So the engine, under probably 90% of driving conditions, 80% of driving conditions, the engine is not ever connected to the wheels and is not sending any power to the wheels. So you got 181 horsepower electric motor that is driving the car most of the time. And for comparison, the Toyota hybrids in the Camry is only 111 horsepower motor. So you're getting a lot more electric power out of the Honda. And the engine is so much, the 4-cylinder engine, it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder, it's so much more refined and quiet than the Toyota. And because it's not an eCVT system like the Toyota, they can manage so they're relying less on the engine for propulsion. So when you go to accelerate, it doesn't just immediately rev to 4,000 RPM and sit there and drone for a few seconds until the car catches up to it. It's a much more quiet, refined drive and very enjoyable. It's much more like driving an EV. And one of the things I hadn't realized about it before, and I noticed a couple of days ago, it's got shift paddles on it, or what look like shift paddles, but it's actually for managing. Hi, Nico. Or is that Bowie?
Bowie's in the room. Bowie? Nico's in the front barking, so it's making Bowie in the room bark.
Oh, okay.
We're having work done on the house, so they're here apparently.
Okay. Anyway, so the paddles, like I said, this thing doesn't really have a transmission as such, and so the paddles are for controlling the regen. And because it's mostly electric power, you can get a lot more regen out of this than you can out of a lot of other hybrids. So the left paddle gives you more regen, the right paddle gives you less regen. And when you have it in normal drive mode or in eco, tapping the paddle, the left paddle will give you more regen. You get almost like one pedal driving at max regen, although it won't bring it to a full stop. But the regen only stays at that level until you press the accelerator down again, or you start to accelerate, and then it immediately reverts back to mild regen, which is more like just coast down that you get with a regular internal combustion engine. When you put it in sport mode, the regen goes to essentially, there's an M there indicating manual mode. And so whatever regen level you set it at when you're in sport mode, it stays there. So if you want stronger regen in sport mode, you just tap the left paddle a couple times, and it'll stay at that level of regen until you tap the right paddle to reduce it again. So, it's in a lot of ways, it's a lot more like driving an EV than most hybrids. The Accord is very roomy. It's a big car. Plenty of room in the back seat for adults. Although, like most modern sedans, they've gone to this kind of fastback coupe-like profile. So the headroom is not quite as enormous as it would have been in an Accord from a couple of generations ago, but still, there's plenty of room back there. Lots of lots of leg room, a little bit less headroom than there used to be, but still very comfortable. Lots of shoulder room, good sized trunk, and I was surprised the trunk opening is actually surprisingly large too. One of the problems with a lot of modern sedans that have that fastback profile is you end up with a very small trunk lid. So you might have a very spacious trunk, but a very small opening to get stuff into. Not so on the Accord. The opening is nice and wide, comes right down to the bumper, so you can get bigger stuff in there. The back seats fold down, so if you want to shove a big TV in there or other stuff, maybe 8-10 bags of mulch, you can do that too. And so it's very, very practical. And the Accord Touring the Touring Hybrid, which comes on 19-inch wheels, the other trims come on, I think 17s or 18s. The other trims are rated at a combined 48 miles per gallon. And the Touring on the 19-inch wheels is rated at 44 miles per gallon. This was a particularly cold week in Michigan, and so when it gets cold, doesn't matter if you're driving a hybrid, an EV, a diesel, gas, whatever, you're going to get less fuel economy, especially if there's a lot of snow and ice on the ground, because there's more rolling resistance for the tires, more slip and everything. So I saw about 35 miles per gallon, which is about what I would expect given the conditions. I mean, we had a couple of days where it was down, the temperatures were down into the low teens. So that's that's what I would expect in those conditions. In warmer weather, getting in the mid 40s is not a problem at all. I've had an Accord. The last time I had an Accord hybrid a couple of years ago, it was during the summertime, and very easy to get into the mid 40s. Just as like with a Civic, you can get up to 50 miles per gallon with the same powertrain. The Civic's a little bit smaller, lighter, but it's a really fantastic car. And if you are not obsessed with the idea of having a utility vehicle, but you want something that's practical and roomy for 4 or 5 people, and you still want really good fuel economy, the Accord hybrid is really an excellent choice. The lowest trim level of the hybrid is the Sport hybrid. That one starts at $33,655. The Touring hybrid, and this is the powertrain is 204 horsepower in the Accord. And the one I had was finished in Radiant Red Metallic, which is an extra $455. Had a really nice leather interior. Let's see, the grand total came to $40,950. Guesses on the destination charge?
$1,300.
$1,495.
Robbie gets it. It was actually only $1,195.
Wow.
Oh,
So
cheap.
Doesn't yeah,
Cheap, I know.
Doesn't cost as much to deliver a sedan from Central Ohio as it does to deliver a full-size truck from Mexico.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, $1,195 for destination. Just shy of $41,000 all in for a loaded Accord Touring hybrid. Oh, and the Touring trim is the only one that gets the infotainment system with the Google built in, so it's Android Automotive. All the Hondas, their infotainment system is built on Android, but many of them have their base system is just a Honda interface on there, and you can't load any apps onto it. And that's what was on the gas Accord that I got at first on Monday, but then on the Touring trim, you get a 12.3-inch infotainment screen and the Google built-in software. So it's got Google Maps, Assistant, the Play Store, and it also still has support for wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can use your phone, project from there. The vents are fully manual, as they should be. Got 3 nice rotary knobs on the center of the dash so there's one for the driver to adjust their temperature, there's another one for the passenger to adjust their temperature, and then one in the middle to adjust the fan speed. Just reach out, give it a little twist one way or the other.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Crazy.
It's so incredibly easy to use, and I don't know why more automakers don't do that. So that's the Accord Touring Hybrid. But I also spent a couple of days this week in Silicon Valley. I went out there for a Rivian event. And so when I arrived at SFO, I picked up a Land Rover Defender X, which is, so this is the four-door. It's based on the 110, mid-level, the mid-size Defender. And there's a bunch of different trims. You can get it with a four-cylinder turbo engine. There's one with a supercharged V8. There's the Octa. The Defender X is kind of in the middle of the range. And it has a turbocharged 3-liter inline six-cylinder engine, 395 horsepower. It's a 48-volt mild hybrid. So it it'll stop the engine when you come to a stop, and basically the engine will stay off for most of the time while you're sitting there in an intersection. Doesn't really seem to do much in terms of fuel economy. Over the 2 days I was driving it, averaged about 14 miles per gallon. The Defender's a decently large and heavy and tall vehicle. But one thing that really surprised me when I fired this thing up was, for a six-cylinder engine, this thing had quite an exhaust tone to it. At first I thought it was a V8. It had a nice growl to it. Nice rumble. And it's quite quick. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, 5.1 seconds, I think. It's all-wheel drive. The Defender, has a very nice interior. There's a nice big center screen. It's got CarPlay and Android Auto support, wireless. Although, interestingly, but midway through the second day, the Android Auto disconnect. The wireless Android Auto disconnected. It wasn't seeing my phone, wasn't connecting. So I reached into my backpack and grabbed a USB cable and plugged it in, and it worked fine wired as well. The Defender X, has these black aluminum wheels on it. It's got the fake diamond plating on the sides of the hood, like on the old school Defenders, where they would have had that on the tops of the fenders. It has that on the sides of the hood. Not really somewhere where you actually want to, strap anything down to, but it's more just for looks than anything else. But this thing is quick. It actually handles pretty well. I had a little bit of time on Wednesday afternoon, and took it for a drive along Skyline Boulevard, which, if you're from that area, this is a very nice twisty mountain road that runs for quite a few miles from south of San Francisco down towards the South Bay area. And even though this thing weighs probably close to 6,000 pounds, it's fairly wide. It did reasonably well. It's not a sports car. It's not like driving, any kind of sports car along this road, but it didn't embarrass itself. On some of the bumpier roads I drove on, it did. There was a little bit of head toss, but for what it is, which is a very capable off-roader, it did okay. And like I said, I like the way the Defender looks. The 110 is definitely the best looking of the three, I think.
I like the 90. So
you like the 90 better? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the 110's a little more practical, if you need to take more than one passenger with you.
Yeah, I don't have friends.
Yeah. So if you don't have friends, then the 90 is a good choice.
Bam.
But if you want to take extra people along, then the 110's a good choice. You can get it with a third row, but don't. If you must have a third row, get the longer 130. Yeah, I mean the third row in this one, is good, and the 110 is going to be pretty much useless because there's just not enough room back there. But if you must have a third row, get the 130, because you got more room back there. There was no Monroney for this one, but the 110 or the Defender X starts at $95,500. Let's see, it's got an 8,200 pound towing capacity. The one I had was finished in what they call Gondwana stone, which is sort of a brownish bronze color. Looked really good. Let's see what else. There's the black roof, the wheels, 22-inch wheels. Again, if you're actually going to go off-roading with this, you probably don't want to get the 22-inch wheels. You probably want the 19s with some tires that have more sidewall. But let's face it, 99% of the people that are buying this thing are taking it, to go to the mall or, go to the gym, go to their, their Pilates studio or whatever. They're not, they're not driving this thing on, on the Rubicon Trail. Let's see what else. This one also had the Windsor leather and Kvadrat textile
Are
seats.
you saying that right?
Probably not.
How do you spell that? What's Kvadrat?
Kvadrat. Kvadrat textile.
The global textile company. Oh, it's a company.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to go with Kvadrat. Kvadrat? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Continue. I'm like, what is he trying to say?
Okay. Let's see what else. Let me find the total bottom line. Let's see. So the total was $97,850. Guesses on the destination charge?
14.
$12.95.
Robbie again, $18.50.
I was gonna go higher, but then I'm like, I went higher last time and it didn't work out.
Still pretty.
There was one other. There was one particularly odd ergonomic issue that I had with this, which was so you got this nice big center touch screen, and there's some knobs and buttons below that, and the shift lever, and then the volume button. For some reason, the volume button is placed all the way over on the left-hand side of this panel below the screen. So it could be a little bit of a reach to get to it. But you can also control the volume from the steering wheel, so you don't really need to reach over. So it could mostly be just there for the passenger. But I just thought it was a little bit peculiar. But I like the Defender X. Would I spend $100,000 on one? Probably not for me. But then again, I'm not an SUV. I'm not somebody who's going to buy an SUV of any kind. If I was going to buy one, if I was going to buy a Defender, though, I think I might actually go for the Defender Trophy Edition.
That's cool.
Which, it's in the deep sand glow yellow, and this is sort of a tribute to the 1980s Camel Trophy Land Rovers that ran in these amazing adventure races back in the 80s and I think into the early 90s. So that is the Defender X, 2025 Defender X.
Very cool.
All right. Yeah. So let us, oops, hold on now.
Having
Okay.
challenges.
All right. Let's talk about some of the other stuff that happened this week. So Kia unveiled the second generation Seltos. Do you have a chance to take a look at this thing yet?
I did. I think it looks good.
I did. It looks good. I think it looks better than the Telluride that they showed off. I think.
Oh, you like it better than the Telluride? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the design language. Again, the Telluride looks better in person. If you've seen the photos and you're like, ugh, it does look better in person. That said, it's still, I think, a polarizing design. I think the Seltos does look much nicer.
Yeah, it falls in line now, I think, more, especially the lighting, because Kia's having such distinctive lighting on their vehicles, it matches the other ones now. Like, I feel like it falls in line. It still looks like a different vehicle. It's not like a copy, but I'm like, okay, now it looks like it fits. So I think the design looks fabulous.
Yeah, I think, the overall design language of this, is very much, in line with what you get. We start with the EV9. The EV9 was the first one to get this kind of look to it. And then the EV5, which is not sold here. And then this is the next one to get it. So it's a kind of a blockier look with a bunch of sharp creases. And like you said, the lighting signature, the more vertical front lighting signature. So it's a very substantially different kind of look than the first generation Seltos. It's about 2 inches longer, so it's not huge. It hasn't grown very much, but I think it's a really interesting design.
Yeah, I think they did a nice job. I think if you don't like where Kia's been going, you're going to feel like this is still a misstep because you're not going to like it. But if you've been pleased with their trend the last couple of years, last couple of vehicles, this is spot on for them. So I think people will be happy. Yeah,
and they show it. They have the global press release. They did an online reveal earlier this week. Globally they're going to have. They're talking about 3 engines, 3 powertrains here, 2 variations of the 1.6 liter turbo with 178 or 190 horsepower, and then a 2 liter naturally aspirated engine with I think about 147 horsepower. I've seen somewhere, it's not in this press release, but I've seen somewhere mentioned that it's also going to be offered with a hybrid powertrain. So that would probably be the same 1.6 turbo hybrid system that's in a lot of other Kia vehicles, like the Niro. A lot of new tech in here. All the latest driver assist stuff, like the highway driving assist 2, lane following assist, the safe exit warning, and that's a really good one. That's actually one of the best features that Hyundai and Kia launched in recent years, which is it's using the radar sensors in the rear corners that are normally for blind spot monitoring and cross traffic alert. When you pull up to a curb and you park the car, if the radar detects that there's either a cyclist or a car coming up in the adjacent lane next to you, it will prevent the rear doors from opening. So you can't open the door in front of a vehicle that's coming along. So until it's clear, you can't open the rear door, which I think is on the street side of the car, which I think is a really good feature to have for safety purposes, especially if you've got kids that might want to hop out of the car real quick.
Yeah, I think that's a
great feature. Yeah.
You're not going to door a bicyclist, and you're not going to die from getting hit by a car or have your door ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's that is the new Seltos. That's coming sometime in 2026. I'm not sure exactly what the launch timing is going to be for this one. It doesn't really say, but sometime in 2026.
Eventually. It'll show up.
Yeah, and the Seltos is the most affordable car in the Kia lineup in the U.S. at least most affordable crossover, I should say. I think the K4 is actually probably still a little bit cheaper than the Seltos, but the current generation Seltos, let's see. Oh no, okay, yeah, the current generation Seltos starts at $23,690. So it'll probably be around the 24 to somewhere between 24 and 25,000 to start with for the new one.
Cool.
All right, and then let's see. So in Europe, let's talk about Ford for a second. In Europe, back in 2019, Ford announced a partnership with Volkswagen to use the VW MEB platform. So this is the same platform that VW uses for most of its mainstream EVs, like the ID4 and the ID3. And Ford was going to use that to build a couple of new EVs, which finally came out in like mid-2024. The first one was the Explorer, the European Explorer, which is a very different vehicle from the Explorer that we can get here. It's a compact 4-door crossover. It's electric. And then they added the Capri, which looks very much like a Polestar 2. And those haven't been huge sellers. I was looking up the numbers the other day. Since they launched in the middle of 2024, they sold about 60,000 units in total. And this is after they spent $1.5 billion to completely retool their Cologne assembly plant to build these. And this is a very large factory.
Mhm.
So Ford this week announced a new partnership with Renault to get a couple of new electric vehicles based on the Ampere platform from Renault. So Renault a few years ago launched a separate business unit called Ampere that's focused on building EV platforms. And so Ford's going to use that for a couple of new EVs. And those are coming out in 2028.
Oh my gosh, that's so far from now.
Yeah.
I know these partnerships and things take time. I realize this isn't like you flip a switch and suddenly everything happens, but it feels like it's just I don't know, making big plans on EVs that far in advance is tricky, I feel like right now,
Well,
it's tricky if
there's
you're
always a long
Ford.
lead time for.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's tricky if you're Ford because you're a start, stop
Right.
EV strategy hasn't been great.
Right? I
We
guess
don't
this
know
is
that.
start.
No,
We're
no,
back
not.
at start again? Is it
We're
start?
back at start.
We're back
for
at start.
this
Okay,
part.
or go. Stop, go, stop, go. So we're back
Stop
at go.
goes, yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. They got 3 years to change their minds.
Yeah. So they've got about 2.5 years. They said early 2028. So
Okay.
Oh, okay.
they've got time.
We got time.
And this
We got
time, Ford is not going to retool one of its own factories. Renault is actually going to build these cars in one of their factories.
Cool.
I mean, that could be good.
Renault.
Assuming that the between
Maybe.
now and then that it remains go and not stop, and that the
Yeah.
The
climate
thing
for
is that
EVs in terms of enthusiasm and politics and everything else under the sun doesn't change 85 times between now
Yeah.
and 2 years
I
from now,
mean-
because it could.
you see some companies.
These
that
are
just-
for the European market. So
Yes.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
a whole other difference. Yeah, and you're battling an incursion of Chinese EVs into Europe. So, and then you have places, you have companies like Hyundai. They're just like, no, we're just going.
yeah.
It's going to be a little weird sometimes, but we're not.
We're just
No,
We're just doing it.
never stop, not stopping. That's seems to be the Hyundai thing, which seems to be
Go, go,
working
go,
for
go,
them. I see a lot of Kias and Hyundai EVs like rolling around town. So
Just rolling
Uh,
around.
just rolling around, making
So
weird noises.
speaking of Ford's stop-start approach to EVs, or
Uh-oh.
should that be start-stop? Back in 2021, I think, or 2021, they announced a joint venture with SK On, a Korean battery manufacturer, to build 3 battery plants with a combined total of 143 gigawatt hours of battery capacity, which would be enough for somewhere north of 1 million EVs a year. They subsequently, 2 of those plants were going to be in Kentucky. One was in Tennessee as part of the Blue Oval City project down there near Memphis. And then when things started to not go so well for Ford and their EV sales, they said, well, we're going to put a pause on that second Kentucky plant. So the first Kentucky plant is running and is producing batteries for Ford now that they use in the Lightning. And the Tennessee plant is not up and running yet. It's built, the equipment's installed, but they're not producing anything there yet. And this week, Ford and SK announced that they are going to dissolve their joint venture. And each one of them is going to keep one of the 2 battery plants. Ford is getting the Kentucky plant, and SK is getting the Tennessee plant. And they are going their separate ways.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this is part of the stop part of things.
Yes.
Dun.
So my guess is, that SK is probably going to convert the Tennessee plant, switch the Tennessee plant. Instead of building batteries for EVs, they're going to do what LG did when they expanded their Holland, Michigan plant. And they're going to use, Holland, instead of building batteries for Toyota, NMC batteries for Toyota, they moved that production to another plant in Lansing, and they used the Holland, Michigan plant to build batteries for energy storage systems for stationary storage. And my guess is that SK is going to do the same thing because there's just not enough demand for EV batteries in the U.S. But there's, everybody wants to build giant data centers everywhere, and those things need reliable power. And so they're putting huge energy storage systems on these data centers to make sure that they have reliable power. So my guess is that SK will build LFP batteries for storage systems there in Tennessee.
They also have the Slate partnership, SK on. I kept wanting to say SK.
Yeah,
I interviewed the president, the North American president of SK on, and I said SK1 at one point, and I was just like, oh, come on, Robbie, get it together. But yeah, they are, I think even in that, they were talking about energy storage, and they were talking about, what's going on with Slate, but Slate hasn't built the car yet.
Right.
So you got that's another year.
Yeah, and SK still has, 2 other battery plants in Georgia that, originally one of those was supplying Ford before the Kentucky plant opened up. That now supplies Volkswagen for Chattanooga for the ID4. And, they probably have more than enough capacity there to also support Slate.
Yeah.
So I would guess that's where the Slate batteries are going to come from, is from their Georgia factory. All right. This week, Nissan made a very interesting announcement, a partnership with a UK company called Wayve. Wayve has been developing automated driving software, and they're an interesting company. They started off in the UK. They opened up an office in Sunnyvale, California last year. I actually visited them a couple of days ago and went for a ride in one of their development vehicles. But when we went to Japan in 2023 for the Japan Mobility Show, I went with Nissan, and we went to their R&D facility, and they showed us what they're working on for automated driving for the future. And they were focused on doing the whole thing in-house, all by themselves, doing the entire software stack for level 3 hands-off, eyes-off systems, starting in about 2027-ish. Now they've decided to partner with Wayve instead and use some of Nissan's software, their perception software, and then use Wayve's software for the driving system, starting in 2027, and that's going to be their next generation ProPilot. So that's going to replace all their ProPilot stuff right now, from their hands-on stuff all the way up to hands-off, eyes-off driver assistance, starting in fiscal year 2027, which in Japan runs from April 27 to March of 2028. So
I will say that ProPilot has always been weirdly capable from a company that hasn't been doing great. For some reason, ProPilot's always like, wow, this is actually really nice. Good job, Nissan.
It is kind of funny because you think about that, because everyone talks about Super Cruise and Blue Cruise as being like, which are the big ones, and they're great, but it's like, wow, here comes Nissan with a product that actually works too. It's kind of surprising.
You might be surprised or not surprised to learn that most of what's under the hood in ProPilot comes from Mobileye, not from Nissan.
Well, there you go.
So.
That's
well, they made a good choice.
I mean, they were smart about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because you get stuff from another company doesn't mean it's going to be integrated correctly. Right. I think we've had a lot of that.
No, I think they did a good job with it. And the variations, because it's gone through a couple of like releases over the years, and it really is quite good. It's always been quite good.
Gen. Yeah,
like every time there is something, this is actually really good given wherever the technology was at the moment,
Yeah. Exactly.
The hands-off version that's in the Aria, I thought worked pretty well. But have you tried it in the Armada or the QX80? because they have that hands off in
I have
those vehicles as well.
I haven't had those vehicles. Yeah.
I feel like did I try it? I just had a QX80.
Now you're just dealing with heft.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's just like the thing weighs. I don't think I actually tried it, to be honest. I can't remember if I did or not. I only had a brief
I
time
did,
with it.
and it was
Not
a
so
lot
great?
less consistent. Yeah, it didn't perform as well as it did in the Aria.
Just burst my bubble, why don't you?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for. But yeah, I visited Wayve and went for a ride in one of their development vehicles, and it was surprisingly impressive. We didn't have a chance to do any highway driving because we got stuck in some traffic and we were running out of time. But driving around Sunnyvale, it did really well, except for one minor incident where it was supposed to do a U-turn at an intersection, and most intersections in California you can do that, but they for some reason it did not do the U-turn where it was expected to, and went halfway down the next block and then did a U-turn. And then, there was a car stopped there in traffic, and there was another car parked at the curb, and we got really close to that parked car, and it wasn't clear from inside the car if we actually had enough room to make it. But, the safety driver did not intervene. We let it go, and, as soon as the other car moved, it crept forward, and it actually got through, and, it actually had a few inches of air, but it went through and did it. So it worked. All right.
Okay.
Another automated driving story. Aurora Innovation, which is a Pittsburgh-based company, started by Chris Urmson and Sterling Anderson and Drew Bagnell. They're focused on automated trucking, and they've been running driverless automated trucks in Texas since May. And they just did a deal with a company called Detmar Logistics, and they are selling some of their trucks to Detmar to haul fracking sand in Texas. And so these are going to be driverless, operating on a mix of highways and also off-highway operations. So on dirt roads, out to the fracking fields in the Permian Basin. There's another company called Kodiak that has also been doing similar operations, but they're with a different company. But theirs
Wait, I think
have
you
only
need
been
to
operating
acknowledge
off-road.
what Robbie just did. You did Kodiak, and suddenly Robbie is like doing like
I
bear
don't, like,
bear
do I
claws
have
in the
any
background.
Bear? No, I don't have a. Oh, I do have a bear. Like thing.
So this is kind of neat, though. I like the idea of using this kind of stuff for this application. Just it's going to go on these straight routes back and forth. It knows where it goes. It's probably not a fun thing for humans to have to drive. So,
And they're running these trucks 24 hours a day. We're starting to get some real driverless trucking operations going in Texas and elsewhere now.
Let's see. See how it works out.
all right.
Trucking sucks. Being a truck driver is not great, and there's not enough of them. So probably because it's not a great job.
actually, it's hard. It's not an easy job.
All right, Subaru. Subaru
We held
announced
this for you.
pricing.
No, wait. Is
Yeah.
this something else? Oh no, never mind. That's something else.
No,
Sorry.
that's the next one, the
the
Mazda.
next one. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
So
I'm
Subaru
drunk.
announced pricing this week for the new Uncharted, which is their name for the Toyota CHR. So it's based on the same platform as the Solterra and the Toyota BZ, but it's a fastback coupe-like crossover, and it's unlike the Solterra, which is only available in all-wheel drive. The Uncharted will also be available in a front-drive version. And it's going to start at just $34,995 plus delivery charge of some unknown amount. Let's see, how much is doesn't say what the delivery charge. Oh, $1,600 for delivery.
Oh, all right.
Or $1,450 everywhere except Alaska, where it's $1,600.
Oh, poor Alaska.
Yeah. Well, I mean, costs a little more to ship stuff to Alaska.
Yeah.
So this thing's going to have a range of more than 300 miles on a charge, 338 horsepower for the dual motor version. It's got a SAE J3400 charging port, 150 kilowatt charging. So 35 grand. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Charges at 150. Oh well.
It's better than 50.
That's true. So there you go. It's always better. It's better than 140.
Well, yeah, and it's better than the nominal 100 kilowatts when they first launched the Solterra and the BZ4X.
God, yeah.
It would peak at 100, but its charge curve would drop off really fast and just dive. And so most of I think on average, charging was closer to about 50 or 60 kilowatts most of the time.
Yeah.
So this should be a lot better. All right, let's talk about Mazda.
There we go.
I know, Nicole, that the Mazda infotainment system of recent years has been your favorite in the industry, right?
It's totally been my favorite.
I stopped us talking about this last week. I'm like, we got to hold this for Nicole.
And I'm looking at it now. I admit to being behind the curve. Are you telling me they got rid of the stupid rotary thing as I'm reading this?
What are you calling stupid?
The rotary thing in the Mazda, the little tiny.
Yes. Starting with the new CX-5, the 2026 CX-5, the rotary controller for the infotainment is gone. You got a nice big 15-inch touchscreen.
Oh my gosh! I'll buy a Mazda now. I've answered my problems. I would actually consider a Mazda. That's like deal breaker territory for me. That old system. Hated it, guys. Hated it. I know you didn't know that. Hated it. But I'm so excited for this new one. Yay! Well done, Mazda. You and your Coda design philosophy has finally given us decent infotainment. Woohoo!
Damn.
Sorry.
Oh, look how happy we made Nicole.
I'm very happy.
Are you
about
glad
it.
we saved this, Sam?
I'm
We could have
glad
just
you
done it
saved
with
this.
us.
This is fantabulous news. I'm really genuinely excited about this. That was my big beef. Every time someone asked me about Mazda, I'm like, well, so whatever the Mazda was, well, it's great, but now I don't have to say that anymore. No more buts.
And the best part is, even though it's got this big screen and Google built in, it still has, wait for it, manual vents.
Dun, dun,
Oh
dun.
my God, it's like my dream company now. My dream car is a Mazda CX-5. I'm happy about this because I do think that was, and I know they held tight to that. Gosh, how long have they had that?
100 years.
And it was first it was no touchscreen at all and just the rotary controller. Then it was touchscreen for Apple.
At least the early 2010s.
Yeah, so it has been a long time before they finally said, you know what, nobody likes it this way. That took some time. Like, kudos to you for finally getting rid of the system that wasn't great to begin with, and also for not making your vents part of the system. Well done.
Yeah, and the new CX-5 will have a hybrid powertrain coming in 2027. So, I'm not sure. So
this year, the 26, it comes out. This is a 26. So initially, just a gas engine. Okay.
Yeah, and they're doing a drive program in late January. So it should be on sale probably by February or March, which maybe is not soon enough for you, Nicole. But they will have a hybrid system for the second model year.
I'll have to see. I'm not gonna rush to buy a car because I want to get what I want to get. I'm not. That's
probably a wise choice,
right? I'm just gonna wait and see what.
And don't forget, everyone. Please send us please send Nicole your advice on the car on the vehicle to purchase and why you think Nicole.
And you can now put Mazdas in there because they're changing their screens.
Yeah, so you can put a new CX.
And feel free to give us your reasoning why Nicole should buy the new Jeep Recon instead.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm not doing
It's so
that.
expensive.
It's expensive.
Like, who's that car for?
It's not for. I don't want that. It's very nice. It looks lovely. Looked lovely when I looked at it. It looked lovely. I mean, that's all anyone says. Anyone driven it yet? No one's driven it yet. Have they? Did they do any early drives? Okay.
Nobody outside of Stellantis, anyway.
Okay, just Stellantis. Okay. It looks lovely. I don't have anything against Jeep or the Recon. Knock
so
yourself
expensive.
out. It's expensive.
It's very expensive for what it is.
But you can take the doors off, and you can.
I can take the doors off any car,
and you can take the. What am I trying to say? Not the windshield.
The windows, the quarter windows,
the quarter windows in the back. You can take off, and all that.
And it's got the Sky One Touch roof.
Mm-hmm.
That's not worth
Sky
that
One
much
Touch,
and you have that tremendous 230 miles of range.
Bob. We have to do 2 range runs. You have to do one with everything on and then one with everything off.
So it's like
yeah.
230 to 260, depending on how you actually have equipped
no,
your
I mean
vehicle
with
for a given
everything
day.
off, it'll probably be about 120 miles.
Yeah, because you're creating so much turbulence because
Yeah.
you've
Oh,
you've
that's true. I was
removed
thinking
everything.
weight,
Yeah.
not turbulence, but you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you create a lot of turbulence.
Oh my
when you
God, the
take all that stuff
turbulence.
off.
Where can you go? 5 miles.
All right, and then finally, Rivian. I mentioned that I was at Rivian's Palo Alto facility on Thursday, and the reason I was there, they had their first ever AI and autonomy day,
Ooh.
and they made some pretty big announcements. Last year, middle of 2024, when they launched the second generation of the R1S and R1T. They completely revamped their electronic architecture, and they adopted NVIDIA chips for their ADAS system. And then now the R2 is coming in next spring of 2026. But those first R2s are going to have that same system in there, the NVIDIA-based system. But towards the end of 2026, they're going to change again, and they have designed their own custom chips for their ADAS that are significantly more powerful, and they claim much more power efficient. So about 2.5 times the performance per watt, which, on an EV is really important because, all the watts that you use to drive your computers are watts that you can't use to actually drive the vehicle. And so they are going to have more performance, less power consumption, and they're going to have a LiDAR sensor. They're adding a LiDAR sensor to the R2, and they are going to eventually have hands-off, eyes-off driving capability on the R2. Sometime later in 2027, maybe 2028. They're gonna put the hardware in starting at the end of 2026. The software is going to come at some point after that.
That's everybody's promise. We're going to put the hardware in, and then we're going to do the software.
Eventually,
and then
we'll
you're going to
let
be
you
able
have
to
it. Yeah.
drive in the future when you're not driving. And it's a really hard problem to solve, and good luck.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is that these things, like, to be honest, these things are really like shareholder plays. Like, shareholders love this. It doesn't matter if Rivian had sold 1 million cars, everyone would be like, meh. But as soon as they say AI and autonomy, shareholders lose their minds.
Yeah.
Is it money better spent elsewhere? Probably.
But before they get to that, before they have their own custom chips and LiDAR and other stuff in the car, right now on the R1, they have, I think sometime this summer, they added hands-free driving, hands-off, eyes-on system like Super Cruise that works only on divided highways, so about 130-ish thousand miles of highways. Sometime in the next few weeks, they're going to push out a software update that enables what they're calling universal hands-free. So you will be able to go hands-off, eyes-on pretty much every road in North America that has painted lane markings. So about 3.5 million miles of roads.
The universe of North America.
Yeah.
Everywhere important.
Where do you put your hands?
Won't
You're just Ricky Bobby in the car. What do I do with my hands? I don't know.
It still
what to
won't
do
be
with my
point to
hands.
point, so you can't yet put in a destination and have it do all the stuff to get you to do all the turns and everything. You have to do the turns and intersections and stuff yourself and stop for traffic lights and things like that yourself. But in between that, you can take your hands off the wheel. The point to point navigation is coming towards the end of 2026. And that's what's going to be on the R2 with the new stuff from as soon as they launch that. And then some point after that, you'll be able to go eyes off as well. What do you think? Do you want to go hands free, but you still have to stop for stop signs and traffic lights and
that's the thing about the hands free but eyes on is that I end up just driving anyway. Like, my hands are just there. So it's sure, I mean, it's almost like a director when they make their first short film. That short film isn't going to make any money, but it is a calling card for that director. It just look what I can do, and then later on, when I'm going to make my giant movie. This is sort of the same thing. Like the hands-free, eyes-on is like, look what we can do, and then later on, look at our giant level 3 system. I feel like that's where we're at with these things. It's like, this is what we can do. Shareholders, again, they love this stuff. Individuals, I don't know what the take rate is on it. Maybe it's really good. Maybe people are like, hey, this is nice. It's really nice when you're if you're driving through, say, Nebraska. This is an outstanding system because you're just like, oh God, Nebraska's so long. This is where it's great. Do I want someone with their hands off the wheel while they're driving through town and children are running around? Maybe just leave your hands on the wheel.
Just keep them there.
Just keep them there.
Just a little backup. Just keep those hands on that wheel.
Yeah. You're still in charge. The most important thing is that you're the boss.
And for all these systems, until they get to a hand or to an eyes-off system, you will remain the boss. You are responsible. So if anything goes wrong, it's on you. It's not on Rivian.
All your fault. If
someone comes along and they like make a chalk drawing in the middle of the road and it forces your car to drive into a taqueria, you're at fault.
Into a taqueria. Oh my goodness, that's very dramatic, the scenario you've created.
These are just my life. This is all the places I go. It's taquerias.
Just accidentally drive into a taqueria. Okay.
It's just taquerias and Costco. That's all I do.
Taquerias and Costco.
I'm getting $5 chicken, picking up tacos and burritos.
Isn't it the hot dogs that you get at Costco? I thought it was a big thing
you can
about
get the
Costco hot dogs.
You can get $1. It's like $1.50 hot dog with a drink.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. I just saw someone freaking out about the possibility they were going away, and there you go.
15 years ago, like I had a Costco membership from work, and I mostly just used it to get the tires. This is when I had the WRX, so I just mostly used it to get new tires. So I'd always just be wandering around Costco for an hour and a half, and we lived in a small apartment, so we didn't have anywhere to put anything. And I would get the pizza, and it would make me sick every single time. I got the pizza recently. I don't know, because it's pizza, Nicole. It's the heroin of foods. You don't, you know what?
Pizza. No, I
you just keep eating it.
It's the heroin of foods.
He's right.
He's not
the
wrong.
Heroin of foods. Yeah. So I got the pizza recently. Did not make me sick. So good job, Costco.
So they've either fixed it or you've developed a tolerance.
Yeah, sometime over the last 15 years, I've created like some sort of like, my stomach's been preparing, like they've been building up.
All this time. It's like we are ready now. Bring on the Costco pizza.
Anyway, Costco.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff you can get. $5 chicken and $1.50 hot dogs are pretty great.
Well, their rotisserie chicken is actually really good.
$5.
We had one last week.
$5. And you know, when I get that chicken, all the animals know, and I don't give them scraps from anything, the animals, except for when I'm deboning a chicken. Then they all just wait around because that's when they know.
They know they're going to get some Costco chicken.
It's pet Christmas when the Costco chicken comes into the house.
Well, whenever we have a chicken or a turkey or something, after I'm done cutting off as much of the meat as I can, I always throw the carcass in the Instant Pot to make some broth. And then whatever is left, whatever little pieces of scraps are left on the bone when I threw it in there, when we take it out, pick out all the bones, just get all the little scraps of meat and put those in a container and use add those to the dog food when feed the dogs.
Pour it on top. It's a delight. It's a little treat.
Oh, they love it. Yeah.
Delightful little treat.
But back to Rivian.
Not that we're sidetracked at all.
Sorry.
Part of what they're doing is they are launching a new Autonomy Plus package, which, once they launch the universal hands-free in January, that's going to be complimentary for Rivian drivers until March. And then after that, if they want to continue using the universal hands-free, they will have to either pay a $2,500 one-time charge for the life of the vehicle or $49.95 a month to use the universal hands-free. And I'll have to wait. I've already requested to get an R1 to test as soon as they have the universal hands-free software update available. I want to see how well that actually works. I'm trying to figure out if it's actually worth $50 a month or $2,500. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
It is
If you're going on, but if you can like turn it on, turn it off, like you do with like streaming services.
Yeah.
If you're going on a long trip, you're like, all right, I'm just going to pay $50 for this
That's
really
true.
long trip, and then turn it off.
That might be worth it for that.
I would not pay I would not pay $2,500 for this because
No.
even I barely use, like I use a little. I just turn off lane keep assist. I just and then in my personal car when I'm testing it, obviously I leave it on. Blah, I got to do my job. And then adaptive cruise control, I use that sparingly. I don't really use it all that much, to be honest. Sometimes on long road trips I'll use it. Sometimes when I'm stuck in traffic, but most of the time I'm just like driving. I'm the tech guy. I should be testing all this. I test it all, and then at the end of the day, I'm just driving my car.
Yeah. One thing that was good, I spent a bunch of time talking to the software guys working on this stuff, and tried to extract as much information as I could. One of the things I asked them, was around safety. And unlike a certain other company that only makes electric vehicles and claims to offer full self-driving, one of the things that the Rivian engineers said is that, as part of this, this software stack, most of it is AI. They've got what they call a large driving model, which they're training. So most of the perception and the control is handled by that. But they also have rules-based software that's running around that to provide guardrails to try to prevent it from doing anything stupid.
Mhm.
So, hopefully, at least based on what they've said, hopefully this system should be safer than that other system. But, we'll see. And at least, they are committed to multimodal sensing. So they've got cameras, and part of the upgrades, in addition to the chips, they're getting even higher. They already have fairly high resolution cameras, but they're increasing the resolution of the cameras, adding even better radar sensors and the LiDAR sensor. And, they said, to go eyes off, you really need to have all three types of sensors.
See, that's the right thing to say. And for a company that whenever they have an event, it feels like joy.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're concerned about safety and doing, having the correct amount of, the correct redundancy to make this happen.
What a little bit of inside baseball, usually when you go to these kinds of events, the media, when companies make announcements, people in the media, they don't applaud or cheer. I mean, one exception was when Honda brought back the volume knob on the CR-V a few years ago after having touch volume control. That one absolutely got a cheer from everybody in the room. But generally, the media do not cheer or applaud for these announcements. There was one guy sitting 2 seats over from me, who will remain nameless, but he definitely he's a YouTuber and definitely falls under the category of influencer. And every time, RJ or one of the other people announced something, he just had this loud hooping and hollering and cheering. It's like, geez,
settle down.
Shut up. If it wasn't for the woman sitting next to me, between us, I would have just given him a big elbow in the ribs.
Elbowed him to the gut.
Every time he did that. Yeah.
Settle down. I once had someone shooting video at an event ask me to stop typing because they could hear my typing in the video, and they looked at me like, "Hey, can you not type?" I'm like, "No, I
This
cannot
is my
not
job
type.
here.
This is my
typing.
job.
This is my job. I'm sorry." And the person just like, "Okay." And I'm a very nice person, I think, but when I'm doing my job,
Just a very nice person, really. But
I think, but when I'm doing my job, I'm doing
Most
my
of the
job.
time.
most of the
Most
time.
of the time, I'm very nice. Yeah.
So the other big thing that was part of this announcement was what they called Rivian Unified Intelligence. There were lots of acronyms the other day, but the Rivian Unified Intelligence, they're incorporating
Skynet.
AI.
That's a bad
Pretty
name.
much, yeah.
I know,
They're putting
right?
Skynet.
I don't
They're
know how
putting
I feel about
Skynet in your
that.
new Rivians. They've put together a platform to orchestrate and basically can use a bunch of different LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini and various other things. And so it can pull in information from different places depending on what you're doing and what you ask for. And they've also created what they call an agentic framework that allows stuff to work together. And this is also launching in January, coming to the R1 as an OTA update. And the first thing that they demoed as part of the agentic framework was integration with Google Calendar. So the demo that they did, they had one of the guys sitting in an R1, and Wasim Ben Said, who's the head of software at Rivian, was up on the stage, and they were doing a chat back and forth. Rivian was a text chat. Wasim was texting to the guy in the car. The car was reading the text messages out to him, just like you can do today on any car with CarPlay or Android Auto, where it'll read your text messages to you. And he was replying back, with voice, which is all great, all stuff you can do. Then they were trying to, they had on the calendar, they had a meeting set up. They were supposed to meet somewhere, and said, "Oh, can we change the time of the meeting?" So he said, told the Rivian assistant to move this meeting on his calendar to a different time, and it did that. And you can kind of do that with Google Assistant today, and you could at least try to do that with Siri, I think, but it may or may not work.
May or may not listen to
you. The whole thing is that they're like Google Calendar, and I'm like, whoa, hold on, no one cares. This is what I want, like a smart assistant to do when I'm driving. Hey, smart assistant, make me a playlist of these three, like the top songs from these three artists. That's what I want when I'm driving. I know when my stuff's coming up. I can tell Siri. I can tell Siri or Google Assistant to like do do calendar stuff. It's such a weird flex. Guys, Google Calendar.
The one thing out of the demo that actually was unique that I hadn't seen done before was, said, okay, he said, find me restaurants near this meeting. And so, you can do that in Google Maps today. Pulled up a list of restaurants. And then he said, okay, text the top 3 restaurants to Wasim. And that's where it got interesting, because it did actually take the top 3 restaurants from that list and dropped it into a text message and sent it to Wasim. So,
that's cool.
Rivian's not going to be the only one that can do this, probably within the next 6 months. But it was kind of interesting. Yeah.
I mean, but again, that's such like work stuff. I didn't buy a Rivian for work. I bought a Rivian to party. I'm sorry.
For adventure.
I don't want useful stuff. I want fun stuff. Dang it.
We're like, hey, hey, can you, on my Google Calendar, can you update my camping schedule? That's Rivian's for camping. I mean, sure. But it was such a weird, like, da-da-da-da and all this stuff. I'm like, okay. And Google Calendar. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay.
That's where they really lost you there, didn't they?
I will tell you that my calendar, I use, I have a robust calendar app that I use. I have tons of things that are going on all the time. Like, this should speak to me. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, I want the thing to do fun things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a weirdo.
That's fair.
Well, after all the demos, I did have a chance to chat for a few minutes with James Philbin, who is the vice president of ADAS and Autonomy at Rivian, and I will include that at the end of the show here. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up?
Not me, not especially. No.
Don't forget to email or put in a Discord what Nicole should buy.
Yes.
I cannot stress this is the most important thing. This is the most important holiday task.
Help me
it's
figure
the
out
holidays.
what to get for a new car.
At some point, you're going to be sort of annoyed with family or friends. You know what? I'm just going to
sit down and write out a long, write a couple of paragraphs explaining what Nicole should buy, why she should buy it.
Yeah, this is homework.
You guys, you guys have homework today.
And so if you don't provide a justification, there is no reason for Nicole to buy it.
Yeah,
Unless it's a Miata.
we need,
You might
regardless
justify.
of
Maybe I'll
how
buy the car
insane
you
the
suggest.
justification, you got to give us justification.
Well, welcome back, Nicole. We
Thank
missed
you.
you.
Missed you too.
All right. Talk to you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so with the things that you announced today, with eventually rolling out an L3, L4, so eyes off, brain off capability, what do you see as the probable time frame for that? Like, do you expect to have eyes off capability at roughly the same time that you launch the R2 with the LiDAR and the ACM3, or is that something that will probably come at a later date?
Yeah, we're not announcing any dates on the eyes up today. I mean, it would be later than point to point, which is something that would be the tail end of next year.
Okay.
I think part of that is like we need the fleet, we need that flywheel turning, so that we.
So you want to have some vehicles with LiDAR out in the field to collect that data before you're confident.
With eyes up, and I mean, no one has actually really achieved this yet, except for in very restricted ODDs.
Yeah, you got the BMW 7 Series, some Mercedes.
Yeah. So we would want to do it we would want it to be actually useful. And then to do that, you really need to build that confidence through simulation, through apprentice mode, through all of those, making sure you can essentially get to a human-like level in the ODDs that you cover. Okay, that's kind of the process. So, yeah, so we kind of need that flywheel out there so that we can start to gather all that data, robust statistics that gives us the compose to ship.
So as you do start to roll that out, do you expect that to also be kind of a staged rollout of the ODD? So eyes off perhaps on highways only first, and then gradually expanding that ODD over time. The same thing with the personal L4.
I think that's right. No, I think the only thing I would say is like if the ODD is so sort of carved up and difficult to reason about, customers don't really like the feature because it needs to be understandable like way to use it.
Yeah.
So as long as the ODD is sort of relatively understandable, then I think we would definitely do that staged state as we gain the confidence in one area. And we're always the data flywheel is continuing, right? So then we get building the confidence in the next area that we can expand and use.
So for the ODD, as you launch eyes off capability, do you expect that to be whatever degree of that ODD is, whether it's divided highways or something beyond that? Is your target for that to be a nationwide rollout, or like what Mercedes has done, where it's California and Nevada, and then maybe adding other states over time?
So unfortunately, right now, eyes off is actually regulated differently by each state. So you would today, unless there's then federal version that comes in before that, you would have to go state by state, and all the states are slightly different of what they expect. So yeah, we would go state by state. So it would be a geographic area as well as probably particularly Richmond.
And then for the personal L4 ODD, again, presumably that will start more restricted ODD. Same as what with L3, gradually rolling that out. With this hardware suite, with one LiDAR sensor, one forward-facing LiDAR, your radars, your cameras, how far do you anticipate that getting? You mentioned in the presentation, dropping your kids off at school. So putting your kids in the car, have the car drive them to school, they get out, and then the car drive itself back. Can the car? Do you expect the car to be able to drive itself around with no one in the vehicle at times, or is it more that somebody would be in the vehicle but they're not responsible for any supervision or intervention or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think there'd probably be a staging. The thing you mentioned, your laptop piece that you mentioned was though, because initially, if you think about the path from the eyes off through to the customer L4, so essentially it would be expanding the ODD to the point where you could sort of do a useful pull journey. But we still may require human intervention in some cases. For example, there could just be a mechanical fault, would it be? Then you need it.
Or when it reaches the limits of the ODD.
It reaches the limits of the ODD. And so I think there's like a staging where you have driver in but eyes off. And then maybe you have really driver out of that seat but still, around. So if the vehicle just gets stuck, it's going to make progress, so you could get out, you could drive it the rest of the way. So then like a full-on driver levels for. So I think there probably is a staging, yeah.
Okay, and then one last question on the eyes-on part of it. As you reach the limits of the ODD, and the driver has to take over control. What is the kind of what the philosophy that you're taking in terms of the handoff? In terms of timing, how you handle that? Do you have an approach that you're going to take to that?
Yeah, so we have something called an MRM, which is basically, so we try to hand back to the driver, and then if you're not responding, then we give something called an MRM, which is it's minimum risk maneuver.
Yeah.
And typically today you could try put in rail, and then slow the vehicle gradually. So that's kind of our MRM. And then in future, we'll probably expand that to include like pulling over onto a shoulder if it's clear. So that's kind of the philosophy, right? So we want to be, safer for the users. It's basically you try to hand back to the driver, they're not responsive, then you sort of pull the vehicle to a safe state. You spare the PC.
Yeah, I guess what I was asking, was more, say, your initial ODD for eyes off is divided highways, and you got navigation on. It knows you're coming up to your exit, and the system wants to alert you to, get ready to take control back. What do you, what's your time frame for providing that alert? Making sure the driver is, got situational awareness and is actually ready to take control.
Yeah, it's difficult to answer because it depends what we're demanding of the driver in that case. So obviously, in the limit, you could be asleep or you could be, so then we need to provide a much longer period of time where we try to sort of wake you up. All right. Or you may be awake, but focusing on something else. That would be a different case. Or your eyes may also on the road, for whatever reason, it may be a different case. So I think
maybe you're monitoring the driver in real time. Well, obviously you're monitoring in real time. And if you see that the driver is alert and ready, maybe you cut that time frame down. Yeah. If they're not, and then start alerting sooner.
Of a situation. So if you're on your open road with no one there, and you can wait longer. Versus if you're coming out to a complex intersection, something where you really feel like the driver needs to pay attention. So I think it's difficult to answer because it's like all levels. Even today that we have universal mainstream, it depends on speed you're going, the upcoming curvature, how attentive you've been in the recent few seconds. So it's not like one simple rule that can tell you how much.
Oh, now that you mentioned it reminds me, for universal hands-free, if you are driving down the highway and there's a construction zone coming up, is the system going to be able to say, see that, okay, there's a work zone, I see signs for a work zone, and left lane is closed, to automatically switch over to the right lane and continue on in that? Or is that going to be a handoff situation?
That's a driver situation. So that's why universal hands-free is a level 2 system. It's not a system. We make sure that we're looking at the roads with this system, and that, for example, those types of goals, something like a construction zone. And actually, I would say the universal hands-free can handle many types of construction zones well, but I would want the driver to be in the loop in those cases.
Okay.
So it's not a gap. We need to build more confidence in construction zones, obviously, through our data to label routing use bureaus.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.